Our next module in regards to student learning objectives is tying what we talked about with assessments together with setting instructional targets and starting to think about how it actually connects to student learning objective process. So what I want you to do is I want to take a moment, think about your personal life, a goal you currently have or a prior goal you have already achieved. Think about that goal and write it down. Think about what you did before, during, and then after the goal is set. And think about a quick image that represents your key idea. It may be a physical goal, an intellectual goal, a career goal. Whatever the situation is, whenever we set goals, we typically have a plan of action. Take a minute and think about that. Now, you may be in a group, you may not, but what I want you to think about is what are some themes when people write these goals? And what can goals do for you individually? How can goals help us as educators? When I think about my entire life, I've been setting goals, whether it's on a personal level, career level, for the buildings I'm responsible for the classroom I taught. I was always setting goals. And it was one of those things where if I don't have a goal, I don't know what my next step is. And as an educator, if I don't have a goal, I don't know what my action plan is to achieve it with my students. So let's talk about the journey that we have taken so far. And we have talked about power standards, learning targets, we talked about assessments. Today we're going to start talking about how this all comes together in the student learning objective in the form of assessment or target setting, which is different than learning targets. And hopefully you'll be able to describe how to develop this. And eventually in the next module, we'll talk about the template, and then we'll talk about the process from start to finish. So let's review SLOs, right? So SLOs are part of a goal-setting process based on standards and curriculum to inform instruction. They are not just used for your evaluation purposes because we want it to promote student learning. Students need that GPS, and this helps them get there. They're monitored and measured using aligned assignments. This is the second module in that piece in regards to monitoring and measuring assessments. And then finally, they incorporate strategic data to track student growth, which will be the last two modules as we talk about how teachers track the data and then how students can track the data. So although, like I indicated, one why for using SLOs is because it can be used for evaluation. My sole purpose in doing SLO training is because it's best practice when it comes to instruction and assessment. So take a minute, stop. Think about what you've learned so far. What are some things you've stopped doing in your building? Or maybe you've seen your teacher stop doing. What are some things you want to continue doing? And then what are some things you want to start doing in regards to the SLO process? From power standards to learning targets to pre and post assessments. It's a reflection point at this point for you and how far we've come. So I'm going to stop the video here. And then when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about assessments and how they build into setting targets.